Welcome back to Sports Zone. I'm joined by Beth Spicer and Will Miller. And guys, we're going to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. It's been also a weird 2 weeks for them. You had a game against Carolina where you kind of fell flat. You had, a lot of stuff going early on in that game, and then you end up losing it in just a really rough performance. You get bounce back game against Washington at home, and then it's like after all this, you're 3-3-1. So I'll let you start us off, Beth. What have you seen from the Cowboys over the last couple weeks, and especially against Washington?
I'm seeing a little inconsistency. I feel like we're really good at some points, and then we're like, okay, now we're good, so we can chill out. And then, because how do you lose to Carolina is a really good question, and then win 44-22 against the Commanders. I don't really know. Also, can we ever win twice in a row? Who knows? We like to do a lot of winning and losing. And a tie, apparently. But I saw a lot against the Commanders was a lot of pulling together, finally. A lot of defense that could finally kind of work together really well. And a lot of offense, especially with CeeDee Lamb coming back. Putting that key part of offense back together. I think they found a rhythm. I just hope they don't get too comfortable in their rhythm and they keep up trying to get better.
Yeah, like you said, I think the one thing that's been consistent for the Cowboys is inconsistency, if you will. But CeeDee Lamb returned from his high ankle sprain, and he put on a show. He had that great long ball there. And CeeDee Lamb, he made his presence felt pretty early in this game. He had 110 yards and a touchdown. And then Brandon Aubrey here boots a 61-yard field goal, and I don't think you can kick it any more perfect than that. He now has the most 60-plus yard field goals in NFL history, and he's only been here for, 3 years? What Aubrey's been able to do, incredible. And then the defense, they looked better. I think, as I say that, they just allow this bouncing off of everyone.
Right.
And it's like, once again, just sort of the inconsistency. But the defense overall, I think they showed some signs of improvement in this game. What do you see from them, Will?
Yeah, so, obviously, it's been a double-edged sword with this team, with their offense and defense throughout the entire season. Dak Prescott's playing at an MVP level right now, but particularly in the secondary, this defense has, fell short against vertical threats multiple weeks in a row. And I thought that this game versus the Commanders was a great step in the right direction. We saw a little bit more of a pass rush. It was our first time really seeing Jadeveon Clowney have a big impact on the game. Kenneth Murray Jr. Was really good at the second level, but I do think a big part of the reason that they were kind of able to stall the Commanders throughout this past game was because Jaden Daniels did go down with that hamstring injury, and from there on out, you're going against a guy in Mariota who's got a lot of NFL experience, but not really playing with this group. The Cowboys were able to fluster him, and I think that led to that pick six with Deron Bland and whatnot. But I overall think it was a step in the right direction, but definitely going to need to face some more bona fide offenses, with a healthy quarterback throughout the entire game to really convince me that their defense is legit.
Yeah, definitely. There's that pick six by Deron Bland. That was beautiful. It was vintage Deron Bland that we saw a couple years back. It's like if he can be that ball hawk, that will make a huge difference for this defense. And then you talked about the defensive line as well. You mentioned a couple guys, Donovan Ezraku and Shamar James were the other two sacks. You had 4 total sacks in this game, plus that pick six. Finally saw some life from this Cowboys defense, and it's like, I don't think I'm sold yet, because it's like, this is just one game, only 22 points allowed. That was tied for the least throughout this season. So it's like, okay, there's something. Beth, how does this defense continue to use what they gained right here, take it forward, not just lose it, not get too comfortable, but really build on it?
Yeah, I think they definitely need to use, especially they have more depth now, especially with Bland coming back. And who doesn't need someone like that on their defense who can get an interception and then run it back 68 yards? That adds a lot of depth to your defense. And they got to prove it after this week. They had to keep adding, and then, you had Clowney with, in only 26 snaps, he had 5 tackles, a sack, and a fumble recovery. I think you keep putting those people out there, and you keep putting pressure on your defense to get better and better and better. 22 is a high number, and I think next week, if they can just try to lower that, but they go against the Broncos, so It's a hard number to put down, but I think putting that down, and Murray Jr. and James is also 9 tackles, I think you have your defense. They're coming together. They're finally pulling together, and I think they got it. I think they got it if they stick together. If they decide to keep going their own ways,
definitely.
It's not going to go well.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, Jadeveon Clowney kind of had his coming out party, made that impact. Finally, it's like we get something going. I think it really showed him just getting more comfortable with the system. It's going to take time, and I think he showed that. Kenneth Murray, another guy, had a sack, a lot of tackles in that game as well. And it's just like, can we get that consistent effort? over and over week to week.
Right.
And then guys like Trayvon Diggs didn't even play in this game. He suffered a concussion at his house on Thursday night, I think it was. Not sure what the full story is on that, hoping he can have a quick recovery from that one. But I want to flip it over and look at the offense, because the offense has been incredible all season long. One of the top offenses in the entire league. You talked about it, Will. Dak truly playing at an MVP level. And then the run game really bounced back as well. Javonte Williams, 116 yards and a touchdown after a really rough week in Carolina. How much do you think that balance offensively really helps not only the offense, but take some pressure off the defense too?
Definitely. I mean, we've seen this with, Cowboys offenses in years past, but I truly do think that they have a three-headed monster in the skills corps right now. When you're talking about George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, and Javonte Williams, I think Javonte Williams has really come onto the scene. Obviously, I think wearing the star on his helmet, helps with the publicity a little bit. But I think that this season, he's really putting the league on notice, and he's a back that's got really good, quick burst right off the line of scrimmage. But deceivingly, because he is kind of smaller, he can break tackles and plow through some guys really well. And I think that him kind of coming back into form this week really expedited the offense. And when you can establish the run game like that, it opens up the play action with Dak. That opens up the RPO game. And when you got a guy like CD who can really break away after the catch, and a guy like Pickens who's really good in the vertical game and just being able to haul stuff in and one-on-one coverage, that really, just makes a very dynamic offense, especially with the way this offensive line's playing right now. And, we also got Jake Ferguson really coming back into form over these last couple games as well.
Yeah, it took the words out of my mouth. You were talking three-head monster. I wanted to say four, because Jake Ferguson has been that guy. He's reminding me a little bit of Jason Witten over the last few weeks. He's not getting incredible yardage. If you look at the averages, it's like, oh, that's not that great. But 2 touchdowns in this game, and that's all he needs to be. For Dak, he's a safety, just blanket for every time they're out there, whether it's a play action play, whether it's just finding him for a dump off or a touchdown. Jake Ferguson, #1 fantasy tight end, by the way. He's been helping my team. It's really made a difference for Dak Prescott in this offense. As you open up, you have something there for sure. And then George Pickens and now CeeDee Lamb back, there's a lot to fear on this Cowboys offense. And then Javonte Williams taking on his former team coming up next week against the Denver Broncos. Beth, what are you looking to see from Dallas going into Denver, 5-2, top of the AFC West?
I'm looking for them to definitely pull through the things that they proved to themselves during the Commanders that they need to keep up with, because they're going into hard territory. It's against the Broncos, and at home, they have a fight to win. They have to prove themselves, and I think that really does prove, is their offense actually together, and is their defense actually together? Did they come together for one game? Or even if they lose, do they look consistent? Do they look good? I think that's what really comes down when they go to Denver, because it's hard to play when you're away. And going from this great win at home to going away, I think you really have to prove what you're doing. I'm looking forward to that. And then especially if they get through the Broncos, definitely looking well and put together. Then they had the Cardinals the next week, and I think they got that one in the bag. I think if they keep it together, they have it in the bag. Now, if they fall apart, who knows? But I think that they have it in the bag with the Cardinals if they can keep it together, especially through the Broncos. I think it's definitely a stepping point of, we have all these people back. We have all these people back from injury or reserve. Are we good? I think that's what it means.
We'll see, and I hope some more guys come back. DeMarvion Overshown had his 21-day practice window opened. It's like, okay, maybe week or two we could see him back on the field. That would be a huge boost for this linebacking core. But then talking about the Broncos, they're a really strong team this year. 5-2, top of the AFC West, over the Chiefs, over the Chargers, over everything that's been going on in that division. I'll mention the Raiders, but sorry. It's like, we've seen the Cowboys looking just struggling on the road. Like you said, they've been great at home. We've seen them put up points incredibly at AT&T Stadium. But on the road, now a mile high up in the air in Denver. Will, what are you looking to see from them?
Yeah, to your point, Stephen, I was going to bring up the mile high factor. It's always difficult playing up in the altitude. And the Broncos are coming off a huge comeback win. Bo Nix, in his sophomore season, not really going through any slump, kind of has all the confidence in the world right now. Our defense is definitely going to have to get after it. I'm a little wary over our secondary with Diggs being out. But, I think if we can start to formulate, a better pass rush attack as the season goes on. You mentioned Overshown going back. I saw some rumors today that the Cowboys may be in play to try and trade for Max Crosby. We'll obviously see where that goes, but if we can get our front seven in line a little bit, back together and get our secondary healthy again, I think that we have a chance to get back atop to the NFC East and rival the Eagles.
Okay, man, some strong words there. We'll have to see with the Max Crosby rumors. Who knows? There's been some conflicting reports, but it'll be something to monitor. And now we're going to go down to Austin and talk about F1 and the U.S. Grand Prix.